The Object 777 version 2, a tier 10 Soviet collector heavy, a vehicle that for some reason people don't really talk about all too much, and I find that a shame. I think that the 777 is one of the strongest tier 10s in the game. It's kind of the opposite of a Concept 1B, which I just recorded my video on 5 minutes ago. And the concept is great because it features fantastic gun depression and mobility. This tank does have the mobility. It has almost the same DPM. The difference is this tank does not have the gun depression. This is a side-scraping vehicle where the concept is a hull-down tank. But I think both are equally not talked about. And it's weird. It's whenever a new, collector comes out, it's talked about for a while. I remember when the Concept and 777 were both released, they were the talk of the town. 777 was being used left, right, and center in comp. It was the most popular tank in the game. Everybody had it. And then 2 months later, nobody cared about the tank. It faded away into obscurity, and now you rarely ever see 777s in the matchmaker. It's weird because the 777 features some of the best characteristics on a tier 10 heavy. The vehicle features 430 damage per shot, which is great because you can out-trade a lot of heavies that have 400 damage per shot. The Rhino, for example, has 420. I can out-trade that. The enemy 100 has 460 if he's running the smaller high DPM gun, and he has 660 if he's running the higher alpha gun. But it's just great that you have a nice alpha, so you can evenly trade with a lot of opponents. An IS-7 only outtrades you by 30, and you have way more DPM. The penetration of this vehicle is fantastic at 380 millimeters, meaning that you can easily cut through anything that is in front of you with no effort. It just cuts right through like butter. Now, it does have APCR standard, which I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, blah, 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 in the comments, but honestly, I don't mind it because you have such good heat that it really doesn't matter. You'll pen most of the shots that you fire in this vehicle. The only thing I don't like about the 777 is the ammo rack because it's placed on the sides, and this is a vehicle that you do a lot of side scraping in. So it's kind of a poor combination. The ammo rack is located in the same spot that you're going to try and use the armor, which is always a little bit disappointing. You're going to see the C100 actually cuts through me at this angle, which is really surprising. You take a look at the C100's angle here. This is where he shot me from. It's really surprising he was able to cut through my sides at that angle, but it shows that while the 777 is a very good vehicle at side scraping, it has weaknesses. There's actually a thin bar on the side of the 777 that if you hit will always be a guaranteed penetration. It's a little disappointing, but it is something you're going to have to worry about. So we get a nice shell into the enemy 777, and I'm going to start backing up. Unfortunately, the Rhino hits me for 450 damage per shot, which is not ideal. We're going to aim it on the Rhino very briefly, and we're going to slam that gold shell right into his lower plate, and then we back off the hill. So we've bled about 1,000 health, but we've done 1,600 damage. As long as I'm dealing more than I'm taking, I'm at least a little bit happy. But we're not in the best of situations here, because we can see my mouse, while he is healthy right now, just lost 1,000 to the enemy 183, and then he got shot again. This is why, as I always say, the mouse just feels so useless on some of these maps, because you're in this big German super heavy, but you can't really do anything because the enemy's just going to absolutely nuke you if you make a play. So we have the Rhino. That's where the 380 mils of heat pen feels amazing, cutting right through his turret armor. It's just so nice to have that level of heat. So now we're up to 2,000 damage if we haven't hit any blind shots on the 183, that is. So the 777's in mid, and our mouse is already down now to 1,000 health. It shows just how quickly you can bleed health in your mouse. I'm going to take another blind shot where that 183 was. I just hate 183s. And what really sucks is their team has 2 183s, because we love Dead Rail Hill, so let's give the enemy 2 183s on Dead Rail as it is. I was thinking about shooting that 777, but at the same time, I am just going to get into this little corner here and try and hold. This is really the only spot I can effectively hold. This tank is low enough down that I can hide my turret, and because of the design of the vehicle, this is actually the perfect spot for my tank. So we have the 183 in front of us, and as much as I would love to be able to hit that 183, I should have shot, but I just didn't. I just kind of sat there and stared at him, but it's fine. Never mind. I was going to say it's fine because we're going to pen the Rhino, but I guess not. We're not going to pen the Rhino. Well, we're at 1,900 damage, and as you can see, we have absolutely gotten that 777 nuked. Sitting in the spot I currently am sitting at is amazing because if we look behind us, we have a 183 here, and I don't know exactly where our other 183 is, but we have another 183 as well. Oh, I see him. Our other 183 is right there. So we have two 183s who are going to be overlooking me. And this is absolutely instrumental, because the spot that I'm currently sitting at forces the enemy to push me if they want to kill me. So, because of that, it puts me in a great spot. I'm sitting here, I'm baiting the enemy, the 183 can't hit me from this angle, the Yag pokes, we get a nice shell right into the Yag, we can see the enemy 183 shoots a Hess shell at my roof, does deal 400 damage, but doesn't do enough. That Rhino, as we saw, tried pushing out, we're going to see how well that works out for the Rhino. Right now he's at 1700 health. Let's see how well that goes. We can also see the 777 on my side. I'm just holding. The Rhino's trying to shoot me. I'm still waiting. Oh, look at that. We now have 2,400 assisted damage. Why is that? That's because the Rhino just got shot a bit. The Yag got shot. Oh, look at that. We just got the Rhino nuked by sitting here and baiting him into the open. That Rhino went from 1,700 health to 400 health. And the enemy 183 went from full health to literally 90 health. And now he's dead. We can see how just sitting in this spot has baited literally the entire enemy team into a terrible position. Sometimes patience is key, and that is exactly what we're doing here. Patience in waiting for the enemy to make misplays. So we are now over 3,000 damage, and we have single-handedly basically nuked the enemy team. Now I guess in reality, I should have just not shot the 100 and shot the Rhino, but we get in a side scrape, we get a bounce from the Rhino, which is quite nice, and now I'm going to push this Rhino. The 183 shoots him with an HE, which tracks him, we get behind him, and we get the clear, bringing us up to 3,446 damage, and I would be willing to say that we single-handedly carried this game. Sitting in the position that we were at, and forcing the enemy to drive over that ridge to try and shoot me gave our 183s a whopping 7,000 combined damage, which I would say most of which was from us. So it is crazy you can allow your teammates to get such a solid amount out. And it's a good example of why Dead Rail Hill is such a bad game. If you play on Dead Rail, you have to play the way I did. You have to play passive. You have to wait for the enemy to poke. Because if you're the one poking, you're going to be nuked. Now, early game, it's not a terrible idea to maybe play a bit aggressive on Dead Rail, but 90% of the time you play on that map, you literally want death. So now we're going to arrive to Canyon. And Canyon is a pretty good map for the 777, but not great. And the reason why is because we only have 6 degrees of gun depression. The Concept 1B would be the best tank possible for this map, because it obviously is 10 degrees. But in this tank, it's a bit trickier, because we only have 6 degrees, and, well, we'll see how that works out for us. Up against us, we have a 60 TP, an E50M, a Leopard 1. Those tanks are going to come in handy in a moment, because we're going to see them right in front of us. They also have a VK72, T110E4, and two 183s once again. As I've said in the past, it's just so cringe that every single battle you play has two 183s. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's so annoying, but it takes away a lot of the fun in the game. Now, the great thing about our super good heat pen is it means we can cut easily through that E50M's turret if he ever tries to poke the hill. But the E50M's not poking. You know who is? The Leopard. We get a nice snap right into the Leopard's roof, dealing 430, which is our average damage, and bringing him down quite a few pegs. He probably thought he was going to be able to get away with that poke. We also get a nice shot into the enemy VK72, putting us at 840 damage dealt. Not bad. Now, the 60 TP is going to be quite the sussler player, as you're going to see in a moment. I'm looking at the Leopard, I'm looking at the E50, I'm making sure not to overpoke so we don't get nuked, but uh-oh, 60 shoots at the TVP and hits me in the rear, which is really, really annoying, because obviously I don't want to be shot. The 60 I underestimated because I didn't realize he was going to reload as fast as he did, and we weren't able to get into cover. So we lost over 14, or at least around 1,400 health from the 60. Now, to be fair, we dealt about the same damage to his tank, and tracking him and leaving him in that spot has basically ruined his game. But the fact that the 60 even made that play is mind-boggling. But don't worry, it's getting better. We're on the NA server, ladies and gents, and on the NA server, you can expect the enemy team to YOLO as fast as they can. E50M YOLOs over the ridgeline, rams me, thinks that it's a good play, even though I have a 4005 overlooking me, dies. The Leopard also thinks that YOLOing is a good play, dies. What's crazy to me is that neither of these players were in Platoon. I don't understand how two players not in Platoon can come to the conscious decision that we're going to YOLO over the ridgeline with unspotted tanks, two 183s, and think it's going to go well. Now, to be fair, both of my 183s are dead. It's always the case that my 183s suck and the enemy 183s always live to be the longest alive, but oh well. We are at 3,600 damage in this battle, and we're not going to get any more out because the 183 gets cleared before we get to him. But another great example of the 777. The DPM allowed us to easily deal with that situation in front of us. We bled out the 60 and punished him for making a stupid play, and then we bled out the E50M and Leopard for also making stupid plays. And while we weren't fast enough to get any more damage out in that battle, we were still able to have a pretty solid result. The 777 is a fantastic tier 10 heavy, with the level of mobility, the level of DPM, and damage per shot it features with the pen and everything. It just allows it to be great. And because of that, I think it's a truly underrated vehicle currently. It's weird that people don't play it more. It's weird that people don't talk about it more. It's flat better than the IS-4 in every single way. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. As always, if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!